Hello, welcome back to the Future Nerd, and today we are going to add JWT authentication to our API that we have created in our last session. And for JWT authentication, we will need these packages. Let's first install these packages to our application, and I will install it install dash package from the package manager console, and then paste the package name. Then we have to install this package as well, install dash package, this one. And now we have installed the packages, but in our models we don't have the user class for which we are going to add login or register. So first we have to create the user class for our database model user, and it would have the following properties: integer id, and then string username, and then email, and then password, and then boolean property that would be if the user is active or not, is active. Then we have to add this in our db context as well as a db set. User, that would be users, and then I have to configure the configuration for that model as well. So let's create the configuration for the user as well. The EF core Fluent API user, and then user, it has is active property, and that would be username. I would remove this name, and as max length 20 is required, and then the email is also required, email, and it is required as well. So one user can have multiple projects, so I have to use define the navigation for the user as well in the projects. One user can have multiple projects, and then in our user class we will add prop list project, and then projects of that user, and I have to add the user ID in the project as well. It would have the project user ID, and then in the user configuration we will define the relationship for the projects as many projects with one user. As many projects with one, let me see, user ID. and I have to define the user model as well as the navigation. So I will define it by this user and user user, and as foreign key that would be x goes to x dot user id, and that's it. I would move this to the new file, move to the new user configuration file, and then I have to add the migration as well. Add migration user table, and that's it. Then I have to update the database, update dash database, alter table statement conflict the foreign key constraint. Okay, I have some data in our database, so I have to delete it because I am changing the schema of the project table as well. So let's truncate this table. I will delete these items. Okay, and I have to update the database again. Okay, that's it. Now you would see that I have the user table in our database as well. Where is the user table? The migration is applied. Let me see the configuration for the user. Users, user configuration. Why it is not applied? Let me see. Create table has. Oops, it's here. Now you can see that we have users table as well in our database. Now we have to create the token for that user, and we have to register a new user in our application. But first we have to define the authorization and authentication in our application. So in our program CS file, we will add authentication, and you would be able to see that we will add builder.services.add authentication, and in that authentication we will pass some options because we are going to add jwt authentication. So we will set options dot default authentication scheme, that would be jwt bearer defaults. I have to import this dot authentication scheme, that you can see that it is bearer and default challenge scheme, it would be same. And then we will add some bearer configuration, add jwt bearer, and we will pass some options to it as well. For the options, we will set options dot configuration. We will set http metadata https require http metadata equal to true, because we want to use https instead of http. And then we will set the token configuration, options dot token validation parameters. Then we will set new parameters. I will import this instead of using the whole namespace. And then we will set some values. Issuer signing key, I would set this, and validate audience, validate audience. Audience is for what service you are going to create the token. I will set this true. And what would be the valid audience? Valid audience would be some string. I will set these, and then I would validate the issuer. Issuer is what is creating the token for the resources. So whenever the token would be validated on our server, it would validate if the token is created by that issuer or not. So for the security, we will add validate issuers as true. And then what would be the issuer? Valid issuer should be a string, and then I would be validating the lifetime of the token. Validate lifetime equal to true. Is this true? And then I would be validating the issuer key as well. Validate issuer signing key to true. So what are these signing key, these empty strings, the signing key, the valid audience, and valid issuers? We will get these information from the app settings, because we are not going to hard code this in our code. So let's go there and add a section token config, and that would be issuer my server. You can write the URL of your server or anything, and then valid issuer, and then valid audience, that would be audience. that could be a string, my audience, and then the key. Key is a value for which token would be encrypted, and the token generation algorithm will use this key, and whenever the user requests our server to get some information from our resources that is exposed by the endpoints, it would validate the token by decrypting the token with that key. If the token can be decrypted by this key, it would be valid, otherwise it would not be valid for the resource. So I would write here some random key like this, and this would be our key, and that's it. Now we will get this information in our code. You can set it for the production environment, the development environment. By default, the settings in the app settings would be used in development environment if the development environment does not have these configurations. If I will override these configurations in development settings, these settings would be used in the development environment, but I am not taking care of this. So let's go to our program.cs file and fill up these empty strings. Now we have defined the settings in our app settings.json file, and I will create a new class that would be token configuration, and it would have all the properties that we have defined in our app settings. String would be issuer, then audience, and then key. Audience and key. Now we will use this class in our program.cs file to bind these configurations, bind the app settings, where is the program file. So we will bind the configuration to our token configuration that we have defined in our app setting. I will create a token config object, new token configuration, then we will bind it builder dot configuration dot get section. Section would be the token config that we have defined, token config that we have defined in our app settings. Let me show you this token config, and we will bind it to the object token config, and let me show you if we can get this information. No, what is the error? I will comment this for now. No, what is this? Okay. Now you can see that we have configuration in our token config that we have defined in our app settings. Now we will use these information. So the audience would be token config dot audience. The issuer would be the issuer, and then the symmetric key would be, let me stop this. The symmetric key accepts the security key that we can define. New symmetric security key that would be bytes array, and we will encode this. Encoding will convert the string to the byte array. Encoding, let me import this. Encoding.utf-8 get bytes. We will convert the string to byte array. The string is in token dot key. This would be a secret key, and that's it. Now we have defined the authentication, and then we will use this app dot authentication, and then app dot use authorization. So now we will create the controller, the endpoint for user registration and user sign-in. We'll create public class user controller, and we will inherit it from base controller base. We'll use this as well on this. I will move this in new file, and then we will use db context for insertion and login as well. So first of all, we will create ctor constructor, and I will inject the db context private read only project context. That would be context with underscore. I will import this. I will add it the constructor, and then http get, and it would have a name that would be token. HTTP post. It would return the token like login, then public action result, then I will name it login. It would have the username and password. So for the username password, we have to create a view model. I will add class login view model to have string email and password. Both of them are required, so I will add required. So go to this controller and add login view model. That would be VM. Oops. We'll import this as well. Then we have to check okay, return okay, and I have to check this if the user has passed the right email and username or email and password underscore context dot users dot first or default goes to x dot mail dot equals vm dot email and x dot password dot equals vm dot password, and I have to check this email for lowercase as well and uppercase. So to overcome this, I will change it to lowercase, and mail the login view model will also be updated to the lowercase as well. And if we do not find the user in the database, variable user equal to this, then if we do not find the user in the database, if user equal to null, then we will return bad request, and in the bad request we will return email or password is incorrect. Otherwise we will return the token that we have generated for this user. So to create the jwt token, we will write a private method here, private, and that would be string, and generate token, and we will pass the user to this method user, that would be user. Then we will return some variable token equal to empty string, return token, we will generate the token from this user. And to create the token for the user, we will write the information in the user in a token. user claims, we will create variable claims, new claims, that would be array because we need multiple claims. So I have to import this. New claim, that would be jwt registered claim names. I will use the package we have installed for jwt-token, that is Microsoft Identity Model JSON token. The subject claim name would be subject, and this would be the ID of the user dot id dot toString. Because the claims accept only the strings, so we have to convert the ID to the string. Then we will repeat this, and for email do not have to convert it to the string. And then is active, that would state is active. Rather than we will use is active as a hardcore string, we will be using is active, and I will use this name of is active. It would return the name of this variable is active, and we will be using this. Okay, now we have claims, and then we have to encrypt these claims in a token. So we have to create jwt-token variable jwt, that would be new jwt security token, security token. I would import this from here. Then we will be passing the values. Claims, that would be claims, and then expires, the token will be expire in the date time that we will be defining here. So I want to expire the token after 1 hour, so I will use date time dot utc dot add hours, that would be 1. Then we will pass the this claim, and the first argument is the security key for which we are signing this token. So for signing the token, I have to use the configuration to get the key from the app settings. So I will add this configuration, builder dot services dot add singleton, because we will be using the app settings, the application wherever we want. So I will add the token configuration as singleton, and now we can inject this in our controller. We will use this token configuration and that would be token config, and I will add this to the control constructor as well. It's not coming. Okay, now we will use this configuration for signing the key. Okay, now we have to define the key. I will add signing key, that would be new symmetric security key, that would be, we have to import this, then we will convert the key the byte array coding dot coding dot utf8 dot get byte array, that would be underscore token config dot key, and then we have to convert this key to the signing credentials. So variable signing credential that would be new signing signing credentials, and it would take the signing key, and then the algorithm used to encrypt this key as a signing credential, HM-SHA-256. You can use any algorithm to encrypt this key. So we will pass this signing credential signing credentials signing credentials is saying that we have two namespaces for this, so I will use this as, we are using Microsoft identity model, so we will use this, and the error will be gone. So now we have jwt token, then we will return jwt security token handler dot write token, that would be jwt. So it would return the token for us, and we will use this method create token for our user that is logged in. I will remove this unused variable, and now that's it. Now you can get the token for the signed in user, and for the registration you will have another endpoint, that would be register, it would be register as well. For register we require register VM. We require these properties as well, email and password. I will inherit this from the login, and we will have username for the registration as well. Prop string username, that would be required as well. I will move this file, this class to the new file register VM, and now I will use this register VM. And for the registration we have to check if the user with this email exists or not. So I will remove the password here, and if the user is not null, then we will return bad request. User with this email, we would write the email here. User with vm.email already exists. This I will use conflict exception. Conflict if the user does not exist in our database, then we have to create it. Then we will create variable new user, that would be new user. We will have email equal to v.email and password equal to vm.password, and then username equal to vm.username, and we have to add this to the database context.user.add new user, and then we have to save changes, contact.save changes, and then for that user we will create a token as well, the registration time. So that's it. Now we have to check if this is working or not, and for the registration we have to pass this, and that would be future at nerd.com, and then password would be 1235678, and the username would be future nerd. And that's it. Now you can see that we have token in our response, and if you want to check this, you can go to jwt.io and you can paste it here, and you can check that it has an expiry time that is 1 hour, and the claims we have added in our token, the subject ID is 1, the user ID and the email is future@nerd.com is active, this is false. And that's it. If we have registered our user, if you want to log in this user, then we have to pass this information to the login or get token endpoint, then we will get a token. What is this password? That would be, now you can see that we have the token endpoint, and we have received the token from that endpoint as well. And if you want to parse it, you will see that the change in expiry time, that would be 10 August 4:35, that is 1 hour. Now you have the information how you can create a token and how you can register a user, and in the next session we will change our application architecture to the clean architecture. And for the clean architecture you have to learn about the DDD principle, and event sourcing. So first of all, we will discuss the event sourcing and DDD principle. Then we will split our API architecture to the clean architecture as well. See you in the next lecture.